Hello, my name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association, and it's a pleasure to be here with you for this IPA talk. Thank you for joining us, and it's a pleasure to have with me Dr. Marcus Belin, who today is July 1st. This is the day of this recording, and Marcus, you are starting your term as IPA President, and it's great to have you here. I can touch you, you're here in person, you're not on Zoom or anything like that, is how I've been doing the majority of these, really for over a year. So. Pleasure to have you with us. Obviously, you're also the principal of Huntley High School. I've been doing that for the last couple of years. So welcome. Thanks for joining on with me here.
I'm glad to be here. I was actually driving in thinking the same thing. Like July 1, that's, you know, in schools, that's like a whole new life. This is New Year, like New Year celebration. So it's good to be here and to start my presidency right here in the IPA office, live and in person, especially after the year we've had.
That's right. Well, fully vaccinated, all that good stuff. And so sure appreciate that. So Marcus, it's kind of routine and become just something, a tradition here for IPA that we do is to have our presidents record an IPA talk, just talk a little bit about yourself, what you see for the year ahead, obviously your philosophy on leadership. Want to get into a couple of those things, but first off, just want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself and your family. I know that's really important to you as well, so just tell us who you are for those that don't know you.
Well, I am a fifth generation educator.
Oh my goodness.
So on my mom's side, I mean, we can go as far back. My grandmother she taught in Chicago public schools. She was 40 years special education teacher. And she actually, when I was in elementary school, she taught kindergarten in the school that I was at. So it was one of those things where you don't get in trouble. Because then if you get in trouble, like you don't go to the principal's office, it was going down to the kindergarten classroom and sitting in real tiny chairs next to kindergartners. And that was enough. It was like, here we go, right? So I didn't get in trouble much in school, but grew up on the south side of Chicago.
I know you're a Sox fan.
Yes,
right?
Yes, I am. So we hold 2005 real close. That was the World Series.
They're still in first place right now. I haven't looked at the standings.
Because
my Cardinals are just not doing it. But
I know. Well, we all have our years. You all have enough trophies and rings and all of that to really celebrate. So, but definitely a Chicago fan. But yeah, grew up on the south side, and education was just like at the heart of everything. You know, for me, and so I knew I was destined to be kind of in school leadership and at least going into education. My wife, Monique, who is the better part of me.
Good answer.
She really holds it down. We have three little ones, 3, 5, and 7, Makai, Mackenzie, and Malia. Awesome. So it's all M's. Marcus, Monique.
Oh wow.
Mackenzie, Makai, Malia.
Think about that. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So we, it's the Belin team, and they keep me on my toes. They keep me honest to just doing the work of being a dad, but also making sure that you know, for me, just keeping them at the forefront of, you know, my thinking and what I do, you know, day in and day out. So I do a lot. I do a lot for them. But it's what I love best. I mean, family is everything to me. So a lot of celebrations, a lot of excitement, my daughter was just telling me the other day, she was like, Dad, we could have our own TV show on YouTube. I was like, yeah, we could. And it'd be one heck of a TV show, because life for us is crazy. My wife's in education. She's an instructional coach. In the Huntley School District, and is an awesome teacher. She loves the little kids and has been in elementary education ever since she started. And she tried middle school for 1 year when she first started, when we were at the charter school together, and that's actually when I was in the classroom as well. But she said no more. She went straight to the little one. So.
Good for her. Good for her. I think everybody, you know, kind of finds their niche with that. I was a secondary school person for a reason. You know, I love little kids, that mine mostly, and but feel like there are other people that are better suited for that. So glad for your wife for sure. So I know your leadership journey, Marcus, because I've known you a while now. You kind of started in Peoria, because I believe you're a Bradley grad, if I remember that correctly. Yeah. And I know that you spent some time in the Peoria area. So talk to us a little bit about that, and then what got you to Huntley.
Yeah, so I left Chicago. I was 17 when I graduated from St. Rita High School on the South Side, and went down to Bradley. And it was kind of interesting, because I always believe, I'm a firm believer that, you know, wherever you are, or however you got there, is for a purpose and for a reason. And in my college acceptance journey, I would say I got denied from every college in the state that I applied to. It was 8 of them.
Really?
And I got 8 denial letters, and I sat on the couch when I got my last one in April of 2005, and I told my mom, like, man, I'm not going to college, nobody wants me. And so Bradley, I applied to Bradley, they sent me a letter, and they were like, hey, like, we want you. I had never been down to see the campus, nothing. And so we got in the car. It was April 7th. I remember these dates, like it was April 7th. We drove down, and I just kept looking. I'm like, there's nothing but corn and soybean and cows. Yeah. That was it, like all the way down. And then coming down 74 through East Peoria, you hit this little curve, and then boom, there's the city. And so I started looking around a little bit more closely once I got there, because I'm like, this is, I think, where I'm going to be. Got to campus, fell in love with it. Bradley really opened arms and took me in. I started to learn a lot about myself, learn a lot about what life was going to hold for me, right? Just getting some experience in the classroom, and the people who poured into me on that campus helped really, in terms of my leadership and my ability to just be comfortable in who I was and really find my voice. Got involved in a lot. And especially within the teacher ed department, I still give back. I'm on the education advisory committee there now, working with the dean of the college, as well as other people who are in Peoria who have either gone through programs or have associations that connect with the university. So, man, just being on campus and being involved was what really took me there. President Glasser, who was the president, she came in my sophomore year, and I was working in a bookstore, and she comes walking through, a little petite lady, and she was looking for some spirit wear. And of course, I greet her. I'm like, man, it's the president. Like, it's not too often, especially on a college campus, that you can walk and you find the president who is so personable that you can literally have a conversation with. We stood and talked for like 20 minutes, and we would see each other all over campus during Welcome Week activities. And it was kind of a joke of like, I'll see you there. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And will you? And so she really took me under her wing and exposed me to a lot just on campus. I went to a lot of different engagements and events with her that represented the university. And she reached out to me towards the end of my college time in 2010, and this was when Arnie Duncan came to Peoria. He was Secretary of Education at the time, and unfortunately her mother had passed away, and she had to leave, and she was supposed to introduce him at the symposium. And there's like over 1,000 people in the Civic Center, Peoria, and she said, hey, I have to fly out. I want you to introduce Arnie Duncan when he comes. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, what do I say? Right? When I get on stage, what's the introduction supposed to be? Am I supposed to? She said, don't worry about that. She said, Shelley Epstein, who was a speechwriter at the time, a communications director, she said, he'll take care of everything for you. You just need to figure out how to open it up. I was like, okay. So I got up there. I had a red folder, and I had a resume. Because it was 2010 in April. I'm getting ready to graduate in a couple weeks. I'm like, I have no job. Like, at this point, like, trying to get a job teaching, it was hard. Which is crazy. It was hard.
Different than today, right?
Totally different than today. So then I got up there and I looked at the dais of people sitting on stage, and Arnie Duncan was sitting there, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. I looked and I said, Secretary Duncan, like, first off, welcome to Peoria. I definitely want your job. He was like, hey, you can have it. I said, not right now. And then I looked out amongst the crowd and I held up this red folder and I said, hey, everybody, like, I'm just going to use this opportunity as a recruitment tool.
Yeah.
I have one resume, and once I introduce Secretary Duncan, I'm going to take my seat right there. And this one resume, I don't have a job. I'm going to graduate in 2 weeks. And I'd love to come teach in your school. And that day I got a few job offers right on the spot.
Yep.
That was like the interview for me. And then I got to sit at the table during lunch for concept schools. And at that point, they were opening a charter school in Peoria. I sat and got to learn a lot about them. They said, hey, we want to bring you in for an interview. And that was where I started, was at Quest Charter Academy. Day one for the school, day one for me as a teacher, day one for everybody really who started there. So that began my journey in education.
Right. And then after that, you go on, work on your master's degree.
Yep.
I had an opportunity to connect with you a little bit. I don't know if you remember that or not. I was at a CIV, Central Valley Region event. You were there. Remember briefly meeting you, and I remember at that time talking with Don Hanson, who was our field service specialist serving that area at the time. And I said, Don, you got to keep an eye on this guy because I think we're going to see him again. And sure enough, here we are. And so you spent time at Quest, did some leadership work there, and then I believe you went on to Dunlap.
I went to
correct?
Dunlap.
Yes.
Yep. I was at the charter school for 5 years. I taught for 2, 5th and 6th grade social studies. My classroom was crazy. It was fun. I enjoyed that time, but I realized that my connection to kids, I wanted to stem far beyond just the classroom and the 150 kids that I had, that would cycle through my classroom, every day. And so I then moved into the Dean of Students role there at Quest and finished out my time. Like I said, did 5 years. And when you start something, they say it takes 3 to 5. So I got to see a full cycle of a charter school starting up. And then I went to Dunlap, became the assistant principal at the high school, and that was fun. The principal, Scott Adrian, he and I both came in together. I actually was hired in July. He was hired like end of July, beginning of August. So my whole first month of starting in the new high school, I was like, what do I do? Like, this is different than the charter school. This is an established school. It's a public school. And I went from private school for my own schooling to charter school. So this actually was my first experience in public education. And so there was a lot that I needed to learn, unions and this and that. So I took on that role. I was there for 2 years and then moved up to Huntley.
Yeah, and been there now?
And been there now I just finished my 3rd year.
Yeah.
It's crazy to believe it's
and
been
only
3 years.
Well, that and only half of it's been somewhat normal, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, somewhat normal. Like your first year in administration is always, you're trying to figure out which end is up.
Right.
It's like drinking from a fire hose, a fire hydrant with hot coffee coming out. You're like, I don't know what to do. But, it was that. And then towards the end of my 2nd year was when the pandemic hit, and then leading a school through a pandemic. Normal is... There's no such thing as normal in school administration. I don't know what a normal year looks like.
Yeah, agreed. So I absolutely agree with that part of it. I do want to talk a little bit about the pandemic and some of the things that you've done there, Marcus, but just curious, about your perspective just with leadership generally. What's important to you? What do you lean into when you think about your work? What helps you?
Kids.
Yeah.
Like... for some people, it sounds cliche of like, I know what he's going to say. But if we're educators and we're in this work, like we're doing the work for kids. I love what I do. And when it comes to leadership, having that shared leadership approach, I have a school of 3,000 students. There's 316 adults that help run that building every day, from custodians to food service, secretaries, admin assistants, all the way up to my associate principals. And I have a very tight team that I am so thankful for. They help keep me grounded because I'm all over the place. When I see kids and out in the cafeteria, I sit and eat lunch with them. I'm rolling around my building on a hoverboard and popping in and out of classrooms. My team definitely make sure that it's like, okay, Marcus, like, come here, we need to meet, let's do this, let's let's focus on this. And when we get in the room and when we get focused on stuff, it's like, okay, what do we need to talk about? Like, titles aside, like, yes, I'm the principal, I run the building, and the buck stops here, and right, like, make the decisions. But I want everybody to have that belief that they are a part of something, that their voice is just as valued, that they can sit at the table, and they can put an idea on the table, and that's something that I'm like, hey, let's just run with it. And since it's your idea, I'm going to give you all of the credit for it. You know, because I don't believe in that schools run themselves by one person who sits at the helm.
Yeah.
Right. And because you can't do it. There's no way that I can know every bit and piece about that building,
right,
and be able to do what I do effectively. Connect with kids, connect with staff, grow people, grow myself, run the building, meet the data, you know, take the data and reach new heights. I can't do that, you know, without a team. So I rely heavily on a team of department chairs and associate principals and deans who have been amazing.
So we know technology is important to you and the usage of that, Marcus, because and you've been recognized for that here recently. For those that don't know, NASSP recognized you as one of 3 digital principals of the year this year. So congratulations to that. That is outstanding. Could you just share a little bit about how you're using technology in innovative ways to connect with your learning organization, those in it, and other things that you're doing?
So being a millennial, right, and being connected with social media, that's been my platform.
Yeah.
When I took over as principal, we didn't have a presence on social media. Had a couple of things that had started, but not really gotten off the ground. And so coming in, I said, okay, hey, I want to make sure that I'm very open and transparent, you know, with our community. A lot of our families, especially our parents, man, they love some Facebook.
Yeah,
right. They love Facebook. And I remember Facebook when it was the Facebook. And you had to have a college email address because it came out my freshman year of college. But so it was meeting parents on that platform. Students were on Instagram. I've had Twitter since 2006, and I was like, well, there's also some people who are on Twitter. A lot of our groups and organizations and clubs and sports were all on Twitter, and so I kind of beefed that up, and so now we have a presence on all 3. You know, several thousand followers on Instagram, and that's the way for me to connect. It's quick. I can walk in the classroom, take a video. I can go live at an event. And because people have the technology like at their fingertips, I'm gonna leverage that and say, hey, I want you to come to this event. I'm not gonna send you an email because you're gonna check it and it'll be after the event is over. Like, I'm gonna go live to just show you how much fun we're having and show kids like, hey, you gotta get here. Show it at a football game. And so I do a lot of videos. All my videos start up, what's up, HHS? And the kids go crazy because they know that, like, you know, we're here, we're having fun. And for me, it's showing life. Student life is showing the life in the community of Huntley and how strong we are. And it's something I'll always carry with me because social media is there's so many positive things, there's some negative, but I also use it as a tool to show kids, you know, in terms of digital citizenship, really how to use it and use it effectively to get your message across. I've done some very serious postings where we talk about anxiety and depression and normalizing mental health for kids. It's a topic that we need to talk about and have to talk about, and so they've connected there. But I've also done TikToks where they've seen my family, they've seen me, and just kind of getting out there to just let them know, like, hey, I'm human. I'm still a young guy, a kid at heart, and I can have fun and I can dance with the best of them.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Maybe you can teach me a few things here.
We're going to do a TikTok. That's part of my presidency.
Oh, is that what
50
it is?
years.
Okay.
I'm just because people are going to watch this, and we'll say it at the next board. We are going to do a TikTok. Jason Leahy is
My
going
kids
to
would
be
love to
featured.
see that,
Yes,
for sure.
We'll find something to ease you on into it. But
I'll come back to haunt me down the road for sure.